Welcome to the Section YY podcast. My name is Harb, joined alongside by Negative Niece. Loaded show this week. We're recapping the Tennessee Volunteers trip to Starkville, Mississippi, with the battle against the Bulldogs. Instant classic. We got some Ryder Cup news. We got some SEC power rankings. Also going to cover some of the action across the conference and the country. Uh, but as we get started, our own Negative Niece went to Starkville, Mississippi, and broke his road losing streak as an attendee.
That's right.
Niece, how's it feel?
Felt great. Most of the game it didn't, but it's always great to go on the road and come away with a big Southeastern Conference win. It definitely wasn't easy. They never are.
Sure wasn't easy. On TV, I have to say, it looked like there was a good amount of orange there, which their stadium's one of the smaller ones in the SEC. But there's a good amount of orange there. Were you sitting in the Tennessee section?
Yeah, so me, Griff, and Patrick went. Burkhart and his wife were also there, but they were sitting somewhere else. But we were on the side where all the orange was that you could see from TV most of the day. And to me, I haven't gone back and watched it yet, but I've seen pictures and highlights. It looked like that whole side over there was completely orange for the most part. I think I did see some cowbells ringing on that side of the stadium, but mostly it was UT orange and white over there. But yeah, we were right next to the band actually. We were one section over from the band. Actually made it on TV a couple times apparently for a brief like 5 seconds. So I'll send you the picture.
I
Um,
didn't see it.
yeah, I might
Wow.
post. I'll post it on here if I remember when I'm editing this thing. But it was very brief. You had to be like, it was one of those things, and it'd be like the Leo DiCaprio meme where he's like pointing. That's what you would have been like if you saw us. But no one saw us. Patrick actually was watching. Patrick was in the on the toilet last night playing on his phone and saw watched the highlights, and it's right at the start of it. We're actually on there again at some point after a score or something. But yeah, we were on TV. There was a lot of orange there. I mean, I we were talking after the game and looking back on it, I don't know if it was 50-50, but I think it was 40-60
Yeah.
because on the other side, on the camera side of the stadium, there was a scattering of orange over there, lower and upper deck. Um, but there was a ton. I knew there was going to be a lot down there, but it surpassed what I expected. And I think probably a lot of people from West Tennessee came down, and I think the people that were in front of us were from Knoxville. So I mean, there's tons of traffic, Tennessee traffic going down the interstate on Friday, coming back today. But and the place got loud like there in the fourth quarter when we were on defense. I mean, it wasn't loud enough where they had to go to a silent count or anything, but it was loud. And I'm sure the fans on the other side, the state fans, were like, holy cow, we've been invaded by Tennessee fans this week. But I will say that was a cool stadium to go see one time. But honestly, I don't like, unless you just love the coach that's there or like the state of Mississippi, like, I don't know why you would go there and play. There's nothing to Starkville. It's out in the middle of nowhere. Their stadium's it's it's just a football stadium, small, um, and it's not even loud. When they stop ringing the cowbells, it was like Tennessee was playing at home. And again, that probably helped that there was 25,000 Tennessee fans there, but it was cool to go see one time. I don't know that I'll ever be back, but marked one off the list. Two, in the words of Thanos, two to go.
So I kind of you halfway answered this question, but it leads me into it. I want you to describe the crowd vibe and volume leading into the first drive And kind of as a whole, like was it louder at peaks? Obviously, we heard it on TV. We could kind of hear it. But describe the crowd in the midst of when we got the three and out, and they punt it to Brandon Staley, and he muffs it, and they fall on it. Kind of describe what the feeling was like in the stadium from your point of view, and what you felt versus kind of like what the crowd was going with.
Crowd got excited, obviously,
Right, but
Florida
like
State, but
comparative to what you're used to slash where you've been before.
oh, it was way less. I mean, it doesn't compare to Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Auburn, LSU. I mean, South Carolina is way louder than that place. I would put it on a level with, well, I mean, it's louder than Vandy. I mean, Vandy's nothing. It's probably louder than Kentucky. I'm trying to think, who am I missing here? I've not been to Ole Miss, so I can't comment on it. Arkansas was louder for sure. Missouri was louder, I think. I feel like. But they've changed their stadium since I've been there. They may be louder than they were back then, but wasn't anything that bothered me. I don't think it bothered the team, really, to be honest. The vibe around me was, why the heck is Staley back there returning punts? And then they punted it to him again, and he let it roll for 30 yards.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about that. I understand the thought process of not having Boo Carter back there, considering some of the decisions he's made back there in the last couple of games. He had some interesting decisions, or he had one really close call against Georgia, made a couple questionable decisions against UAB. And obviously, we have no idea what's going on behind the scenes or at practice or anything. So I don't necessarily hate the idea of putting someone else back there to field punts. What I do hate is when you make a change and those are the first two plays with a new player back there. Uh, the first one was just bad. It was misjudged. Hindsight, just let it go. But that is one that you catch. And I think he may have lost it. He got it to where he kind of had to catch it over his shoulder, which is never good for a punt. Obviously, we lose it. Mississippi State falls on it on around the 25, and they end up punching it in. It gives them life. And then the second one, I believe he was gun shy. I don't know how it looked in person, but it looked like he was gun shy because he had a chance to grab it off the bounce at around the between the 15 and the 20. And he acted like he was going to, and he was like, oh, better not. And it rolled to the 2 inch line.
Very indecisive, in my opinion.
Sure. And I understand that as a player, but at the same time, you're there for a reason. Trust in your abilities for like for every mistake you make, you're going to make 10 good plays more than likely. Grab the damn ball and fall on it. Like worst case scenario, fall on it. But there was a lot of mistakes that we made, a lot of shooting ourselves in the foot, whether they be executional, time management, or just flat out bad breaks. And we still found a way to grind out a conference win on the road. And for that, I'm extremely proud of this group. I really am. We found ways to win. We tried to find ways to lose. And there's certain people that I kind of hold that to more than others. But despite all of these things, and no matter how you feel about certain people on the team as players or the coaching staff, We're 5-1. We have a road win against a damn good Mississippi State team, which you were downplaying that Arizona State win.
I did.
I don't think you are anymore.
No.
Arizona State has since got back into the top 25. They won at TCU this weekend. Mississippi State's a good football team. They are. I think their offensive line's not very good. There was a lot of times where even with their extremely thin D tackles, they couldn't get anything going up the middle. And anytime they busted an outside zone, they got 10 to 12 yards whenever they wanted. That running back they got, Fluff, is an absolute dog. They got a couple of receivers that are very good. Their defense gave us fits. They're a good football team. Do I
Mhm.
think they're going to go 10-2? No, I don't. They have an extremely hard schedule. Like everybody wants to point the finger at Florida's schedule. Mississippi State's schedule coming up is brutal. And I think they have a legitimate shot at winning 8 games. And for where that program is with a second year head coach and where they've been, and considering the next couple games or they go in 3 or 4 more to get to that. If they do that, that is massive upside in Starkville. And I don't think there's any bad blood between those two programs. I'm assuming you got treated well while you was down there. I'm pulling for them, and I think they got a good football team. I don't know. I don't know how good their offensive line is. Um, we sent 4 the majority of the time when their quarterback dropped back, sometimes 5, and we were in his grill. Joshua Josephs had a hell of a day. Um, there were others, but this defense is better than people give it credit for. It's another thing I want to say. We may not be the bend don't break from last year, but it's the if we break, by God, we're about to make up for it and get you a big old play on the next drive. Top defense. I don't know how many times we sacked that guy, Shaping, 5 maybe,
Something like that.
5 or 6. Um, we got
Several times.
yeah, several for sure. You get a strip sack for a touchdown, which obviously that changed the game. You got a pick six in the first quarter. Colton Hood, future first round NFL draft pick. We're gonna have 2 of those in the defensive backfield, especially in 2 weeks when Jamal McCoy comes back against Arkansas. I don't know. It's hard for me to put a letter grade on this game because there were a lot of things that frustrated me and I didn't agree with. But you found a way to win on the road, and everybody knows going into this game, Josh Heupel's road record was 8-10. I believe 4 of those wins were Kentucky and Vanderbilt. Correct me if I'm wrong on that exact number. And then obviously you've got Missouri his first year, LSU his second year, Oklahoma last year,
Pitt.
and Pitt. So yeah, that's the 9. The and while we're here, let's just go ahead and do it. Walk me through the clock management.
Well,
I
yeah,
mean,
we did
I
definitely need
mean,
to talk about that.
what were we doing?
I don't know that they knew what they were doing or not. We were talking about this coming back. It was,
I think they had a plan, but it was a dumb plan.
well, and I saw where Heupel, and I didn't see this till today, that Heupel said they had 2 plays picked in that situation and, ran a play. get up to the line with 13 seconds, run the next one. But it didn't look like they had a play picked. And then when they did, Joey Aguilar scrambled around and extended the play, and you're sitting there with 4 seconds left, and you don't have enough time to throw an out route. I mean, they were giving you an out route, but you don't have enough time to throw it, get down, call a timeout with 4 seconds. And then we throw. I don't know if I don't know if you could see this on TV or not. I was scared to death when he threw that ball and Mississippi State came running up. If that guy caught it, they score. We had nobody back besides big offensive linemen to tackle that dude. I was nervous wreck when that ball was coming down, and I know you could see we didn't have anybody remotely close that was going to catch that football because he underthrew it to the end zone. If that guy caught it, the percentages were going to be high. He scores. That would have been a disastrous end of the game. And I'm not saying Josh Heupel would be on the hot seat today if this stuff happened, but there would be a ton of questions. He'd be taking a lot of heat today
Oh, for sure.
if that would have happened. Now, if they would have lost the game, he would have taken a lot of heat regardless. But that would have been like icing on top of the cake if that happened.
For
But it
sure.
didn't.
And early in the fourth quarter, maybe going into the fourth quarter, I think a lot of people listening to this will agree with me. It felt like we were going to lose. Like I just had that feeling in my stomach. I don't know how you felt being there, but just with our track record on the road, how the game had went, the missed opportunities we had had, the couple of interceptions that we had thrown that weren't really the quarterback's fault. Maybe the second one kind of was. The first one definitely wasn't.
Correct.
Um, with all, and then with the muff punt and just all of these things, I didn't feel good about it. I was, I guess, in a way, blindly optimistic or hopeful is a better way of putting it. But just all of these things, I was like, this isn't going to happen. And then all of a sudden, we get the strip sack. Joshua Joseph runs it in. Um, and then we stop them, or we get the ball back with, what was it, a minute 27? Is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Or
See, I
it
got
was
it
under,
right here. Hold on.
it was under 2 minutes. It was around a minute and a half.
I got it right here. Hold on.
Point being, you save all three of your time. What was the time?
Minute 23.
You have a minute and 23 seconds. You have one of the fastest offenses in college football in all three timeouts, and all you need is a field goal. You've got to get to, let's say, I know on the TV broadcast they had our field goal range at the 35. Realistically, you probably want to get that to the 32, 33 to feel decent about it. Um, and I forget where we get the ball. I think it was around the 25.
26. Man, you're on it.
Yeah,
You're just a yard and a second off.
I paid attention. Uh, you get the ball with roughly 90 seconds left, all three timeouts, and you've got to go roughly 40 yards. With as good as our offense has been this year, and we were moving at that game too. We got stalled a couple times because of
Mhm.
funky plays, and their run defense was pretty good. But there was one play when we got to about the 35 or 40 after we'd already gotten a first down. I think we'd gotten a first down. We let 35 seconds run off play clock. Like we were killing time when you've still got 25 yards to go. What's the thought process on that?
So I think what he was thinking, and I say he, Josh Heupel, I should say they as a team. Um, I think what they were doing was they ran that first play. And how many yards did they get? 3 or 4 yards, something like that, on that first play, or did they get
Yeah.
anything?
Ish. Oh, hell, I can
So
pull.
my thoughts or my theory was if they hurry up, throw a pass on second down and it's incomplete, and then they don't convert on third down, they've left a ton of time on the clock, plenty of time for Mississippi State to go down. So I think what he was doing, he's like, let's run a little bit of time off here. If we break a play here, then we can go. And then they did, but they didn't go. He did call a timeout at some point when they got up there. I'm trying to remember. It's all a blur. Um, but I didn't have a problem with that first part of that drive at the end of regulation. But where I did have the problem with it is when they got to midfield and he let a ton of time go off the clock twice without calling any timeouts. I was like, why did we get to midfield and it's like we quit.
So what actually happened was we got the ball at the minute 23. Deshaun Bishop ran it for 3 yards to get it to the 29. Our next play, and there was a minute 16 on the clock when Deshaun Bishop hit the ground. Our next play did not resume. It was a 13-yard pass to Miles Kitselman to the 42. It did not conclude until there was 38 seconds left.
Yeah.
And I understand your thought process, but that's coaching not to lose. You're
And
trying to win a
he
football game.
they called timeout. Their first timeout came with 24 seconds on the clock, 2 plays after the play you're talking about. Well, sorry, 1 play.
No, it was right
So
after that Kitselman play. They ended up calling a timeout.
it says here, pass complete over the middle to Miles Kitselman at 29 seconds, no huddle, shotgun Aguilar, rush left for 9 yards to the MSU 49, timeout Tennessee 24 seconds. And then at 22 seconds, pass incomplete towards Staley. At 16 seconds, Deshaun Bishop rush for 5 yards. At 9 seconds, Joey Aguilar incomplete pass. So why did we not? That's where I had a problem with it. After the rush to Bishop was 16 seconds, why is Heupel not calling a timeout right there? You got two, you're at midfield. Call a timeout. Now you've got 16 seconds or 15 or whatever it was. I think 14 maybe. But then he ran around the next play, and that's when he ended up throwing it away. And then you're down to four. And like, what are we doing here? Like that's where I got lost with the whole like what. And he looked on the sidelines when he called his first time out. It's like he didn't want to call that one. He had to run down. He was standing there looking and ran down to the official really quick. It like shocked him.
Don't say when he called his first one. It was the only damn one he called, and we
Right.
had.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah. You get what I mean. The first time out that they had, or
I mean, why? Why?
I don't know
Do
what
you
they were
do all
thinking.
that, and then you get the play clock down to 4 seconds, and you still have two timeouts in your pocket? You think you can take them some bitches with you to overtime?
Maybe he's been hanging out with Rick.
We did the first thing. I mean, we did the same thing in the first half.
Yeah,
Kinda.
I
Not near as
don't.
bad.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand the. It was like it was like both the coaching staff and the team like froze because he claims that they had 2 plays called. Well, why is the team standing looking toward the sideline after the first one? They literally got up to the line and looked over, and that's when you see them do this. It's like there's miscommunication all over. And I've been listening to some other pods and reading. There's been a lot of communication issues in the back end of the defense. It seems like this team, for whatever reason, right now, and it doesn't look like it is on offense, but there's a little bit of a communication issue with some of these guys, whether it's between player to player or coach to player. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but something's off kilter with that to me. But yeah, I don't know. I was not. on Heupel like some people were. Harbin was one, a couple others I know were after that Georgia game. I thought they handled it well. They got down there in field goal range. They had a makeable field goal for a pretty good kicker, and he missed it. But this one, I can't defend him. I don't know what he was. He got away with it because they won. But he was definitely trying to not put his guys in a position to make a mistake. You could see it plain as day. That's what they were scared to death for Joey to throw a pick or something bad to happen deep in MSU territory or even in midfield. But when you're at midfield at that point, you got to think, all right, if Joey Aguilar throws a pass down to the 40 or 35 and it gets picked off, are they really going to go 35 or 40 yards in 8 seconds? Probably not. So, what's the big deal here?
All right, let's play a game. We're going to play a hypothetical game. Let's say Max Gilbert makes the kick against Georgia. And regulation happened exactly as it did, but he makes the kick, game's over, boom. Let's also say last night, that play that Aguilar kind of jumbles around and ends up throwing it away. Let's say instead of him throwing it away, he throws it over the middle for 20 yards to Brazel or Matthews or Staley, whoever, it doesn't matter. And we have time for Gilbert to kick a 45-yarder or whatever it would have been, and he makes it. What's the conversation about Josh Heupel?
Well, the conversation about Josh Heupel is he's coaching a 5-0 football team, and they're one of the best teams in the country.
6-0, but
Or
yes,
six, sorry, 6-0, yes.
and they just find ways to win. Players make plays. Bada bing, bada boom. Now,
Well, we're 4-1 hard, so we'd be 5-0.
okay, I added an extra somewhere. Anyhow, uh, let's say Georgia game happened exactly as it did in real world land, but let's say that overtime or that final regulation happened exactly as it did in Starkville, but Mississippi State gets ball first, and they run it in first play just like we do, and then they get a goal line to stand on us. What's the conversation about Josh Heupel?
Well, it's like I said earlier, there would be a lot of questions. Again, I don't think he would be on the hot seat or anything like that, but there would be a lot of second guessing, a lot of questions like, what is this guy like? What was he thinking? Like he goes to overtime. That Derek Dooley did that one time. I believe it was Missouri. Was that 2011 or 2012? And he played for overtime, and we ended up losing.
Was that the one that
And
went to like three overtimes?
something like that. But I remember when he basically sent the offense out with like 30 or 40 seconds left, and they took a knee twice. And I'm booing. Big Montana's booing. Everybody in the stadium's booing him. Um, I I don't understand. Like Josh Heupel in Tennessee's been in this position before with way less time. Remember Alabama in 2022?
That's
Two
exactly what I was
plays,
about to say.
two plays, and they score. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to answer what they were doing yesterday.
But
I
that
think,
was at home.
well, yeah, that's part of the problem,
That was at
probably.
home, and I don't know what it is because the last couple years I thought it was due to having Joe Milton or Nico at quarterback, but now we have a far superior quarterback than we've had the last 3 seasons or the 2 seasons previous to this one. We have a good offensive line. We have a strong run game. Our receivers are magically better than they were last year. Kind of crazy how that works. Um, and you still have these certain situations where I think malpractice is a strong and unfair term for it because I do think Josh Heupel is a top 6 to 7 coach in the country, and I want him to be our coach for a long time. But you've only got to go about 35, 40 yards, and you've got 90 seconds in all three timeouts. And our offense moved the football last
Hmm.
night. I don't understand the thought process. And when you're in a road game, sure, Mississippi State's 4-0. Sure, they look really good. Jeff Levy's a hell of a coach. But that football team has nothing to lose. And I say all this. We score in the first play of overtime. Cool, boom. Deshaun Bishop, dog, awesome. You know for a fact, if Mississippi State would have scored on third or fourth and goal, they were 1,000% going for two.
Oh, I told Griff that. I said if
I
they
mean,
score right here,
it's
they're going
not
for
even
two.
close.
Yeah, they're going for
Not
two.
even close. And I don't understand coaching from a team or for a team with more to lose on the road why you wouldn't try to alleviate that factor by just ending it in regulation and controlling what you can control and trying to push to get in field goal range. And I'm not saying you have to be uber aggressive and risk an interception on your own side of the 50. I'm not saying that. But running it 3 damn yards and then letting 35 seconds burn off the clock, I don't understand that thought process. I really don't. And it worked out. We won. I don't want to sound like too big of a negative Nancy over here. Chris Brazzell is going to be the number one wide receiver taken in the NFL draft this upcoming year. He had an awesome game. That offensive PI on him was one of the worst calls I think I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
Deshaun Bishop played great. Star Thomas played pretty good. Brandon Staley, outside of the drop punt, had an awesome game on offense. I thought Joey Aguilar played really well. Outside of the 2 interceptions that unfortunately were both my boy Miles Kitselman's fault, there were a lot of really good things to take away from this game. But if roles get reversed in overtime, we have a completely different tune that we're talking about. And I called it before the game. I said this is going to be one of those blood pressure games. And it
You
was.
did.
And I hate to harp this much on it, but that final sequence was mind boggling and borderline infuriating. I'll just put it
I
that way.
wish you could have seen the guy sitting about 2 rows in front of me. I felt bad for, I don't know if it was his daughter or who it was sitting next to him, and the hat he had on because that hat took a beating on the bleachers in front. He was pissed. I just think here my final thoughts on this and Josh Heupel. I think he's got a little bit of Philip Fulmer in him. I think he coaches tight, and like you said, sometimes not to lose. He's like, let's be careful here and let our defense do the work, or press the kicking game and all that, which is so not what he should be. You know, coming from a guy who runs offense like a madman, you know, like we want to go hypersonic fast, score a bunch of points. Like he needs to be like Lane Kiffin and don't who doesn't give a crap, and he's throwing it on 4th and 2 to win the game. Josh Heupel ain't throwing it on 4th and 2 to win the game. I can promise you that.
Speaking of 4th and 2, I think this was in the third quarter. We had it 4th and 2 on the exact 50-yard line. Or maybe it was second quarter. We had 4th and 2 on the 50. It felt, and we were moving the ball pretty good. It felt like that's one of those ones that you go for. And without hesitation, Aguilar in the offense trots off the field, and here comes the punt unit. Actually, it was second quarter because I think we were down 14 to 10. I think it was the possession before Mississippi State went to kick a field goal. I can't remember if that was the one they made or that was the one that they missed and we got bailed out, I think.
Yeah, I'm trying to look. I don't, without going, I haven't gone back and rewatched the game, but anyways.
I don't want to sound like a damn dumb hillbilly. Like obviously you're not going to go for it on every fourth down. And if you do, it's not going to work out every single time. I understand that. But there's situational awareness and there's calculated aggression. And the guys making these decisions are smarter than I am, and they make a hell of a lot more money than I do. But sometimes it's just overly conservative.
I don't disagree with that.
And I want to focus on more of the positives because I really do think Mississippi State is a damn good football team. And despite us shooting ourselves in the foot multiple times, we found a way to win down there. Like, let's see here. Like, hell, Mike Matthews was our leading receiver. We didn't even talk about him this whole show, and we've been recording for 40 minutes. He had 6 catches for 118 yards. Deshaun Bishop, 11 carries, 72 yards, and a touchdown. Joey Aguilar went for 335, a passing and a rushing touchdown.
Brazel had 105.
With 2 touchdowns?
One. Well, should have had two.
Well, yeah, he had
Should
to.
have had two, but one.
Yeah.
I was sitting there. You were asking me earlier what I was like, what was the mood? What was I thinking? I was sitting there. I don't remember if it was the third or fourth quarter, and the thoughts were running through my head. Here we go again. Here I am again on the road watching my team. And I use the word inferior, but I think Tennessee's better than Mississippi State. They've got more talent than Mississippi State.
Oh,
We
we
shouldn't
are.
lose to Mississippi State. And I think if we play them 10 times, we probably beat them seven, but maybe eight. But, anyways, I'm sitting there thinking, like, here we go again. I remember at halftime, I was frustrated. I was like, why are we playing like we're better than this? We're making too many mistakes. We're leaving these guys in the game. And then it like in the late third, early fourth quarter, they're doing their fourth quarter thing. And I'm sitting there like, maybe this is just who Tennessee is under Josh Heupel. We're probably an 8 or 9 win football program, and we blow a game on the road that we're not supposed to, and we upset really elite competition at home 1 or 2 times a year. We're going to be a fringe playoff team and go to a pretty good bowl every year, maybe. Nothing wrong with that, but I think we all have, I know I do, and I think most Tennessee fans do, we have higher expectations than that. So I was really proud of them for finding a way to win that game. It was frustrating that last minute and 24 of regulation, but they flushed it and scored on the opening play of overtime. I don't know if you noticed it, 2 key blocks on that run. Lance Hurd, Jack Van Doorslayer, not Kitzelman, Van Doorslayer, the third string tight end or maybe fourth string tight end, had both those guys had good kick out blocks to help spring, and Bishop broke a tackle too. Great play right in front of us, but I said it several times. I couldn't send text messages or anything to anybody. We had no cell phone service. Even when we were parked 2 miles away at the vet school, we didn't have cell phone coverage. It was awful. I couldn't communicate with the outside world for hours on end yesterday. Um, when I got back to the truck or at halftime, I think it said I had 52 missed text messages, and then like 40 something walking back. My phone started dinging finally, walking back to the truck. But, anyways, I told Patrick and Griff, I was like, we don't deserve to win this football game. We have made way, way, way too many mistakes. Let's not even talk about coaching and Josh Heupel and Joey Halsey and Tim Banks and all those guys. Put them over here. Drop passes, missed tackles, drop punts, letting a punt go to the 1 yard line when you should have fair caught it and stopped it at the 30 or whatever it was. Um, Mississippi State's offensive line pushed our defensive line around, maybe even our front seven. Though that group is our best unit, supposed to be on the football team. Now they made up for it with their pressure on the quarterback. They were in. I bet Blake Shapen is hurting today a little bit. He probably wouldn't admit it, but I guarantee you that that kid's hurting. He took a pounding, not just on that one hit by Tyree West, but he got hit several times hard. Um, so they really did a good job pressuring him for the most part, but they got pushed around in the running game, and our offensive line didn't give a whole lot of room to our running backs yesterday. I don't know if it was a scheme thing or Mississippi State's front seven's better than we think, but just way too many mistakes. Now let's not let Mississippi State off the hook. They made a ton of mistakes themselves. A pick six, fumbling the football, scoop and score on missed blocks. Um, yeah, they didn't help themselves either. And Jeff Lebby said it after the game. He said we spotted them 14 points. And I was like, yeah, you did. Pick six and a scoop and score. You can't do that if you want to beat a team like Tennessee, especially at home. But
Yeah, I mean, he can say that all he wants, but we spotted them
mhm,
touchdowns as well. I mean, we
right.
could play that game all day.
But just my point is, we made way too many mistakes. We should not have won that football game. But you know what? Sometimes good teams have games like that, and they find a way to win when they're not playing their best. Tennessee obviously did not play their best. Their best game of the year was in a loss, I think, to don't count Syracuse. It was a great game. But that Georgia game, Tennessee played about as good as they could and took a really good team to the limit. And
So
it was polar opposites. What Georgia did to us, we did to Mississippi State, in my opinion.
so Mississippi State's touchdown drives, they scored
From the
four.
like 20 or 25 on that first possession when we muffed the punt.
Right. So they went 5 plays for 20 yards, touchdown. They went, and then their second drive was pretty much the only great drive they put together all game. They went 15 plays, 75 yards.
Hmm.
The next drive after that, they went 8 plays for 50 yards, got a field goal, and then towards the end of the third quarter, off of one of Aguilar's interceptions to Miles Kitselman, they went 4 plays, 26 yards, and then in the fourth quarter, off of another Joey Aguilar to Miles Kitselman interception, they went 5 plays for 17 yards.
Yeah.
So they had one, I don't want to say legit touchdown drive, but they had one legit touchdown drive.
Yeah. You cannot do Tennessee. I'm talking to Tennessee now. You can't do that stuff and win on the road. How in the world they won that game yesterday? I don't know. With all that you just said, they cannot do that. You might get away with it one time. They did it 4 times to
Yeah.
State. They gave State a short field. All they had to do was go a quarter of the field to score, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown.
And Joshua Josephs and company on the defensive line bailed us out numerous times. Colton Hood played a hell of a game. I feel like we're going to say that almost every
I thought
week.
Herring and Spillman played pretty good games.
Spillman did really well. Uh, I was looking at the box score and didn't realize that Arion Carter had 17
Yeah.
tackles.
Leading the nation, by the way, in tackles.
Yeah, he's all over the place. Now the thing that is extremely frustrating, I alluded to it earlier. Outside of like short yard scenarios, whether that be goal line or like 3rd and 2 or whatever, Mississippi State could not run up the middle on us whatsoever. But as soon as they busted it outside the tackles, they got 10 and 12 yards anytime they wanted. And the people I was with last night, one of them brought up a good point, and I guess it was shade at Tim Banks, which he does not deserve shade for this game, in my opinion. But I'll throw it under the I'll just throw it under the coaching staff as a whole. Jeff Levy and Mississippi State like to play very similar offensive football to what we do. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Extremely similar. Jeff Levy was showing you, and his defensive coordinator was showing you the defensive scheme that their offense hates by loading up the box, showing pressure. Sometimes they send it, sometimes they don't. Just cause a little happy feet and whatnot. We never did that. Ever. I mean, at one point, they had 7 guys lined up on the line, and they dropped a couple of them, ended up sending 5. But 90% of the time on their pass plays, we'd send 4. Every once in a while, we'd send 5. And we got pressured, don't get me wrong. But every once in a while, to alleviate the load on Ty Redmond a little bit, and Colton Hood for that matter, even though he's walking the walk right now, send a little pressure and help them get the football thrown their way a little bit earlier. That like especially when you're playing a team that wants to play offense very similar to you do. They're going to show you, and especially a second year coach, they're going to show you what makes them uncomfortable by how they call their defensive plays, in my opinion.
Nate,
And we got a lot of pressure. I'm not saying we didn't, but I do agree with that point that was brought up.
show me two things that Tim Banks loves more than a zone defense and rushing the four.
You're exactly
Show
right.
me two things that he would love more. I don't know if there is anything. Which I mean, that's his. It works sometimes, but sometimes you got to bring more than four. There's five on the offensive line. Numbers don't add up, and there's a running back in there a lot of times, or a tight end. So sometimes you got to bring more than four to get pressure. But you're right. That game, I thought the defense played all right. I don't want to say they played really well, but they made some winning plays yesterday, sacking the quarterback, scooping a score, interception. They made some key third down stops. They bowed their neck. They also gave up some wide open pass plays down the field. They gave up some gashing runs. They got pushed around up front. So it was, oh man.
The thing is, I do think our defense played pretty well, or really well. They gave up one drive. One. Their second longest drive of the game was 51 yards. That was a field goal. They gave up one 75-yard touchdown drive against a good offense. Every other offensive touchdown we gave up, the drive started on the 26 or shorter.
No, you're not wrong. And I'm not saying they played bad. I'm
There's
just
a
saying,
there's a million different ways to look at this game. And I guess beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I suppose. But there's so many ways to point the finger because depending on your outlook in life, I guess, or how you view football, we could have won that game by 3 touchdowns. And there's an argument that we should have. There's also an argument that we could have lost by 10 to 14.
mhm. I remember sitting there after we were
But
down.
like that one little kid that's a Liverpool fan saying Sadio Mane is the best player in the world. I'm sure you've seen that
Yeah.
video. He's like, I don't deal in ifs, buts, and absolute. Or he's like, I don't deal in ifs, buts, and maybes, mate. I deal in absolutes. And
It's a great accent.
yeah, yeah. Anyway. I deal in absolutes, damn it, and the absolutes are all these things happen in Tennessee one.
One last thing on what I was feeling is, or a couple things actually, is I think when they went up 34-27 and we gave them the ball back, I looked at Griff and Patrick. I was like, we don't get a stop right here. We're done. We're in trouble. We don't have enough time left. But we got a stop, got the ball back, went down and scored, made another stop, got the ball back, and then what happened happened. But honestly, I was eerily like calm and composed. And for those that know me, that's kind of rare in a situation like this. I just remember the lady, and I don't know if it was her daughter or what in front of me. They were like freaking out, like panicked. They couldn't watch. They were shaking, screaming, and going on. And I was just standing there, just looking. It was like, been there, done that. It's my veteran road experience, Harbin. Been there, done that. It's nothing new. Nothing new. But hey, you know what we did? We JWTDG'd it. We JWTDG'd that thing last night. That is what JWTDG means.
Oh yeah,
Is
I'm
was
right,
that game last night? That is what that
I'm right there
means.
with you. I know that it probably doesn't sound like it for the first 40 minutes of this episode. I'm extremely happy. And well, before the season started, I said we'd lose down here.
You did.
But I also backtracked and said that if we lose to Georgia, we win at Mississippi State. And I covered both bases on that because that's what I do.
Yeah.
One quick thing before we move on. The high throws for Aguilar could get us in trouble. And that's really the only knock I have on him. He's played phenomenal. Through the first 5 weeks of the season, he has 1,500 and some change yards passing. That leads the SEC. He has 15 touchdowns, which also leads the SEC. And the very hilarious thing is, he has 5 interceptions, and you could argue that not one of them are his fault. But the high misses and a guy reaching up for him and they going off their hands, they're typically going to go up in the air, just physics wise. Those are more
Yeah.
susceptible to get picked off than if you're potentially missing low and somebody drop them. It's not even a knock on him. I give him an I ain't gonna go A plus, but I'll give
I
him an A grade for the season so far.
I thought the first pick was on Kitzelman, but the second one was on Aguilar. He forced it. He tried to force it in there, and it cost
He
him.
he did force it, but if you hit him in the hands, you hit him in the hands. And I mean, and
Yeah.
multiple different schools of thought to everything. I think it was easier to blame Kitzelman on the second one because the first one was 1,000% his fault. The second one was probably 50-50. But either way, that second one shouldn't get picked off.
Can I tell you a quick story about the game real quick before we move to power rankings?
Yeah, let's hear it.
So I don't know if anybody noticed this or not. I don't feel like I'm throwing anybody under the bus because anybody could see this, but between the fourth quarter ending and overtime, Brazel walks over behind the bench and he goes in this tent that's about probably 6'10", 7 foot tall. I'll post a picture of it here on the video, but for those listening, he goes into the tent and I see him and he's just standing there. Even it was a pee tent.
Hey,
He
yeah.
was in there taking a piss. And there's one on each end of the bench for Tennessee. I had no idea those things existed. My question is how do we get one of those in G10 so we don't have to go wait in line at the porta potties, the
That's
portables?
a good point. You need
I
it.
saw him go in there and you could see him like undo something around his waist. And I was sitting there looking and I looked at Griff and I said, I think Brazel just went in there to take a leak. And Patrick's like, yeah, the guy next to him says that's the piss tent that they have. I don't know what's in there that they're peeing in, but then he said, look, there's another one down there on the other end. I took a picture of it. I'll try to remember to post it on the video, but it was fantastic. I mean, they can't run to the locker room. He didn't have time. So you got to go. You got to go. I was, it was kind of like relaxed to me a little bit between overtime when I saw that. I was like, oh man, Brazel's he's going to pee right in front of 60,000. Well, not 60,000, but probably like 20,000 fans right in front of him. And it was funny because he didn't zip it up. You could see him just standing there, just peeing. So, Harb, SEC power rankings.
Yes.
You and I talked before we started recording this. Big shakeup in mine. You have not revealed yours. I revealed mine to you, but you didn't reveal yours to me. So this is the first time hearing of your top or your 1 through 16 in the SEC. What do you got?
Well, I think mine is going to be a little funnier than yours. Do you want me to go before you?
You want me to go? I'll go because you go first every week. What about that? Or do
Yeah,
you want to go?
let's switch it up. I'm host this week.
Yes.
It is my great honor to let you, my co-host, go first in the power rank.
And a reminder, this is sponsored by no one. If anybody out there is looking for sponsorship opportunities, we have them for the weekly power rankings.
Uh,
Um, I'm going to start at 16. These bottom four are still the bottom four. There's a little bit of an order change. Kentucky at 16. They're bad. They lost to a bad South Carolina team. Florida, I kept them at 15. They were off this week, so kept them at 15. Arkansas at 14. Good grief. What happened to them? Now their coach is fired. Bobby Petrino is back in charge, at least in the interim basis. Did you see the meme I found on Twitter today and sent you? The Thanos said
mm,
you could not live with your own failure. And where did that bring you? Back to me. And it's a picture of Bobby Petrino with his neck brace on Thanos's body. Pretty funny stuff.
I did see that actually.
So I got them at 14. I mean, they just got pummeled by Notre Dame. They're not very good. I got South Carolina at 13. They beat a really bad Kentucky team, 35 to 13 or something like that. Melody was there. Talked to her today, and she can't hardly talk. She lost her voice. So South Carolina fans had a great time last night beating Kentucky. Just fantastic. Um, I've got Auburn at 12. Offense has a lot of issues at Auburn. Defense is fairly good, I think, but they got some issues they got to work out. I've got them at 12. I actually dropped Missouri a spot. They again not playing anybody. They played UMass, just beat the tar out of them. Like they have yet to play anybody worth anything in their on their schedule so far. I don't know who they've got this week. Look, let's see. They must be off. They don't play anybody this week, so they're off. So never mind. They're going to stay at 11 next week. I might drop them again. I moved Mississippi State up from 12 to 10. I was leaving the stadium yesterday and told Griff and Patrick, I said, that Mississippi State team's better than I said they were at the start of the season for sure. And even what I thought a week or two ago about them. I kind of discredited that Arizona State win. They're better. Seeing them in person, they're a better football team. They've upgraded their talent. Looks like they spent a little bit more money. I don't think they're, better than the rest of the teams I'm going to mention, but they're close. They're not a bad football team. They're going to win 6, 7 games. They do have a brutal stretch coming up, starting this weekend at Texas A&M, where they're 14 and a half point dogs. But they're a much improved football team. It was obvious to anybody that was there or anybody that watched it on TV. They're a better football team. I know Tennessee didn't play well. They made a lot of mistakes, but Mississippi State caused some of those mistakes. Jeff Levy's done a good job down there. I moved him up to 10. Got Texas at 9. They were off. Nothing to really talk about there. Here's where it gets a little juicy. I dropped LSU down to 8. Lost to Ole Miss. Offense isn't great right now. Brian Kelly's probably going to have a stroke at some point soon. But I just was never. I hesitantly had them in the top four last week. And they proved to me yesterday in the highlights and the end of the game that I saw that they are not one of the top five teams in the conference right now. They may get better, they may change, but they're not. Um, I don't know who they play this weekend. They are also idle this weekend. Vandy, I've got them up to 7. Bumped them up just a little bit. I think they were 8 last week, so I've got them up to 7. They had a big win over Utah State Aggies, but they're going to get tested this weekend when they go to Alabama, to Tuscaloosa, a team they beat in Nashville last year. So you know the Crimson Tide are going to be wound up for that game. Game day's even going to be there, I saw. Georgia lost to Alabama this weekend. And here's where these next three teams, you and I talk, you put them in a blender, and if I pulled them out 4, 5, or 6, I would be fine with where they were. But I put Georgia at 6. I don't think this is a one of the better Georgia teams. They lost to Alabama, obviously, yesterday, scored 21 points. Gunnar Stockton is not very good, in my opinion. How in the world did we let him throw for 300 whatever yards he threw for against us? I'll never understand. But I just don't think this Georgia team is. They might be a playoff contender, but I don't think they're national championship caliber right now. They're just not. I moved Alabama up to 5. They've slowly gotten better. Ty Simpson looks good. Big win on the road in Athens against arguably the best program in the SEC the last 10 years. These two programs are the best two programs in the SEC for a long time. But an impressive road win for Kalen DeBoer rallying the troops. Roll Tide Willie was fired up last night on Instagram and social media. So I've got Alabama at 5. I I moved this team around a little bit, but I kept Tennessee at 4. They're teetering a little bit on being 5 or 6 to me, but Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia at 4, 5, and 6. I could have put Tennessee at 6 and Alabama at 4 and Georgia at 5 and been okay with it, or mix it up whatever way you want. But I have Tennessee at 4. I definitely think they're a top 5 team in the conference. They got things to clean up though. Mistakes, get rid of them. And they have an outside shot. I know the percentages doesn't say it right now to make the playoffs. And they've got winnable games on their schedule. Kentucky. You've still got a non-conference game against New Mexico State. But you got Oklahoma. What are they going to be like when Mateer comes back? Will he be back when we play him? What are they going to be like? We'll talk about them in a second. But I've got them. I've got Tennessee at 4. I moved Texas A&M up to 3. They're growing on me. They've got a really good defense. Offense is doing enough to win right now, but they could be in the same boat as Auburn. Their offense isn't great. They've got a really good defense, but if they start losing games because of their offense, they're going to, I mean, they're teetering on that edge. They're playing really close games. If you make mistakes and you have a bad offense, that'll haunt you. But I have them at 3. They're playing really well right now. Oklahoma was off this past weekend. I have left them at 2. But here's the big one, Harb. I moved Colonel Reb from 6 to 1. Ole Miss is at number 1 in my power rankings. They look dang good right now. They beat a solid LSU team. Um, their quarterback, who no one knew outside of Ferris State last year, I don't even know the kid's name. They're already talking about him for the Heisman after 2 weeks. I don't know how that is going, but they're playing well, and Lane's got those boys rolling. They're 3-0 in the SEC, 5-0 overall. I think they host Washington State and Oxford next week. That's a weird matchup. Is that true? Uh, no, they're off as well next week, so it's the week after. So they're off this week too. There's only 5 SEC games this week, but I've got the Rebels at 1. There you go.
So, as I explain to you guys every week, these are not 1 through 16 best to worst teams in the country, and these are not who I think would be favored. This is a mix of everything. It's eye test, it's resume, it's this and that. If you don't like my list, make your own. With that being said, I'm about to have a lot of fun because while Nice was sharing his, I made about 4 changes in my list,
Oh,
throwing curveballs. We're about to get contentious. 16, I've got Kentucky. That's just that's a mainstay. 15, I've got Arkansas. Sam Pittman got fired earlier today, which is Sunday. They gave up 56 to Notre Dame, which Notre Dame is better than people are going to give you credit for, but Arkansas's defense is absolutely horrid. And they could get the fired coach jolt. We may have to deal with that. You never know.
we'll see.
At 14, I've got South Carolina. South Carolina's not good. They beat up on Kentucky with their backup quarterback. Whoop-de-doo. Good for you. Now at 13 and 12, you're going to laugh, but there's reasoning behind this. At 13, I've got Texas, and at 12, I've got Florida.
Wow. So
And the
just to
reason,
just to
and
preface is, you had Ole Miss at 12 last week.
correct, they are not at 12 anymore. Um, the reason I say that, I'm calling my shot. I'm calling my shot. Florida wins in Gainesville over Texas this weekend.
Wow.
And preemptively, or yeah, whatever word that is,
Preemptively.
preemptively, thank you, putting Florida over Texas in the power rankings
Fair enough.
is just what I'm doing. I'm calling my shot. That's why I've got Texas that low. At 11, I've got Auburn. And like you said, Auburn's one of those ones where you can bounce back and forth. You could put them anywhere between 12 and 6, maybe. They should have won at Oklahoma. They didn't. They played pretty well against A&M. Jury's still out on A&M. It depends on how good you think Notre Dame is. And Auburn's in limbo. They could finish the season 9-3. They could finish the season 6-6. I don't know if Jackson Arnold's the guy, but their offensive line's not helping them out very much. I think their defense is pretty good. They're at 11. And at 10, I've got LSU. LSU, we overreacted to that win against Clemson to start the year. I'm gonna do my best to simplify this. They can't score the football, and Brian Kelly's their head coach.
Bada
Just
bing, bada boom.
just is what it is. I mean, you're not going to win very many SEC games scoring 19. You're just
Not
not.
not in this era.
No, you're just, yeah. 35, 40 years ago, you'd win a lot of them. Now, sorry about your luck, pal. You're number 10 in my power rankings. Number nine, and only because they don't have a quarterback currently, I've got Oklahoma.
So you
These are
dropped them from 2 to 9.
these are current power rankings.
Okay.
You drop the Heisman frontrunner, you can't be number 2 in this league. Can't do that. Which they do have a bye week, and then Kent State, and then the Red River Shootout, which he is going to be trying to play in that. I don't know if he's going to, which complicates things in that game. Yeah, as of right now, I've got them, and this was their bye week. They got Kent State this week. The only reason they're at 9 is Mateer's out currently. As soon as he comes back and he proves that he looks good coming off of a throwing hand phalange surgery, I'll put them back up where they were. But as of right now, they're 9. Number 8, I've got Texas A&M. Solely because I don't know if Notre Dame's good or if Auburn's good. Their quarterback looked really good against Notre Dame, and he didn't look bad against Auburn, but they only scored 16. And factor in that UTSA game where they only won by 17, I think, or 18. And the other mid-major game they played, maybe I think it was Utah State or Nevada, whoever it was. They didn't win going away in that one either. They're in the potential fraudulent category for me. And they are in that potential category with number 7, which is Missouri. In my opinion, this was the lowest I could put Missouri because they're one of the 3 remaining undefeateds in the SEC. And just based off that alone, you got to be fairly high. But they're starting to get in the teeth of their schedule. Not this upcoming week, but the week after is when they play Alabama and Como. You'll learn a lot about the Missouri Tigers in that one. You may learn a lot about the Alabama Crimson Tide in that one.
Mm-hmm.
But as of right now, they've played 1.5 games. I think Kansas and South Carolina are both 3/4 of a game, and they won both of them. And you gotta give them a little bit of credit. At 6, I've got Mississippi State. I think Mississippi State's a good football team. They are entering the teeth of their schedule, and we covered a lot of them at the beginning of the show, so I won't harp too much on it. I forget exactly who they have coming up.
They've got
Net.
A&M this weekend.
Yeah, they play at Texas A&M, and
At
then they get a
Florida.
bye week, and then at Florida, Texas, at Arkansas, Georgia at home, at Missouri, and then the Egg Bowl. That's a hard back half of the schedule. I think they have a legit shot of going 8-4, absolute ceiling being 9-3. They're good, and I don't know if they'll have a hangover against Mississippi State or against Texas A&M, and I don't know how good Texas A&M is. And this is also Mississippi State's first road game of the season. Well, outside of playing Southern Miss week 1, that's an interesting matchup. Circle that one. It'll be worth watching. It'll be 7:30 on SEC Network. Tennessee's not playing. It'll be worth putting on the multi-view on YouTube TV. A&M could win by 21. I look like an idiot, but I think they're a pretty good football team. At 5, I've got Vandy. I mean, you can't be outside of the top 5 and be on College Game Day, can you?
They can in mine.
Well, I disagree. College Game Day, especially SEC matchups, is reserved for the top of the top, the Blue Bloods.
Or if there's a weak schedule of games that week.
See, I don't
There
know.
we go. I'm just
I,
saying.
I don't
It could be
know.
either or. Which one is it? 6, 7.
I don't know, Niece. I think Vandy could be really good. I mean, ESPN's putting them in the spotlight. They could be really good.
We'll see.
This is an extremely interesting matchup because Vandy's offense does look pretty legit. Their defense is suspect, and You would think if Alabama is worth a shit, and they just won in Athens, so I'm assuming they are. If you're worth a shit and you lost to Vandy last year, you would think you beat the absolute mud out of them this year, right?
You would
One
think.
would think, especially getting them at home. I'll be watching it. I think it'll be closer than what I think it'll be.
I cannot believe. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Harb. I cannot believe what I'm seeing here on Vanderbilt. I just looked up the matchup predictor for their next four games. Hold on a second. At Alabama, hosting LSU and Missouri, and at Texas. They're favored to win two out of the four. They're favored to beat LSU and Missouri, probably because it's at home. Now, Texas and Alabama are sizable favorites over them. But let's say they lose this weekend, they could be 7-2 with three games to play. Auburn, Kentucky at Tennessee. If it goes by those percentages, they could also lose four in a row.
They could.
I don't know. Think they win four in a row, but
No, but they are number 5 in my power rankings.
there you go.
At 4, I have the Ole Miss Rebels,
Hmm.
and they do have the biggest jump in my rankings. I believe I had them from 11 to 4 is where I had them last week.
Yeah, they were at. No, you had them at 12 last week.
Yeah, so even bigger. Huge.
Huge jump.
Huge.
The
Uh,
biggest jump in the history of your power rankings.
I'm gonna be honest. Ranking the SEC this week is impossible.
It's tough.
No, it's not tough. It's impossible because I don't think LSU is a contender, but I also don't think Ole Miss is a contender either. I don't. I could be very wrong in that. I don't think they are. Ole Miss is now 3-0 in the conference, but your 3 wins, one possession over Kentucky, one possession over Arkansas, who just fired their coach for God's sake. And you beat an LSU team that just cannot score the football by 5. Am I the only one seeing this? And I've got them at 4 because I respect what they did this weekend. And it was the second best win in the conference. But I just don't necessarily see it.
But they have a legit opportunity to finish 11-1.
Absolutely. I mean, they're in line to make the playoff.
Maybe 12-0, but I think more likely 11-1.
They have a legit opportunity to make the playoff. I just don't know if they're doing that much more after that.
No, I
And it
don't
could
think
be
so.
name recognition. I could be a hater and not necessarily know it. But this is where we are.
We're
And,
down we're down to your final three.
well, another thing is there's a very, very, very good chance that Ole Miss's playoff hopes come down to the Egg Bowl.
Yeah, it could. And their
Because
SEC title game hopes.
they play, correct me if I'm wrong, they play at Georgia.
I've got their schedule here. So their next game is Washington State. The only game they're not favored in to finish the season, according to Matchup Predictor, is at Georgia.
They're projected to win at Oklahoma.
They are by the slimmest of margins, 53%. But they are
Well,
projected
that
to win.
game majorly depends on if John Mateer plays or not.
But they've got Washington State at Georgia, at OU, home against South Carolina, home against the Citadel, home against Florida. Egg Bowl is at Davis Wade Stadium in Starkville.
which is already slated for noon.
Yeah, noon on the 28th.
That's
Predetermined. And the 28th is Friday.
I would imagine if Georgia is good, Georgia wins a football game. I can't
That
imagine a
was
world
that was the
where
one I had them losing.
I can't imagine a world where Kirby Smart has two home losses in 1 year. I can't. But maybe that means you need to bet on it. If John Mateer is back and healthy, I think Oklahoma's better than them, and I think Oklahoma wins that game. But even then, they'd be at two losses, and they're not losing. I don't see them losing to South Carolina, the Citadel, or Florida. That literally put your playoff hopes in the Egg Bowl
And anything can happen in the Egg Bowl.
for sure. And
We've seen it before.
this is not Mississippi State of last year. Anyhow, I got Ole Miss at 4. I've got Tennessee at 3.
Staying put.
I've got Tennessee at 3. Mainly because, which we talked about it for an hour, but even with the dumb mistakes we made, whether it be on the field or with a headset on, you found a way to win against what I think is a good football team on the road, hostile environment. Our offense is legit. Our defense is only going to get better. Hobbs and McCoy are slated to be back against Arkansas after the bye week. Those are going to be massive, massive pickups for us. You get Hood on one side and McCoy on the other. Even if you only get 85 to 90% of McCoy, that's huge. There's something about this team that I can't quit, and I refuse to. I don't think we're the best team in the country. I don't think we're going to win the national championship. I think we're squarely a playoff contender, though.
Agreed.
We've got a hard road, but I think we have more than the capability to do it. And the thing is, even with all the funky shit that's happened this year, you make a kick against Georgia, they're both squarely in everyone's number one ranking in the SEC.
Yeah.
The Georgia laws may have hurt us a little bit, but whatever. But I
Isn't
think
it isn't it great though that I mean you and I but you have him at 3, I have him at 4. And we talked about how poorly at times they played against
exactly,
Mississippi State.
exactly.
But does that not say, we ripped Josh Heupel and his end of the game stuff, but does that not say where he has this program right now? They're a legit top 5 SEC program. They're a legit playoff contender year in and year out now, I think. They're recruiting pretty high level. Just think of where this program was 5 years ago. It's not been that long ago that we were probably at one of, if not the lowest points in Tennessee football history. Think about where we were and look where we are now. And I'm not saying I'm satisfied. I am not satisfied with where we're at. I want to win. I want to go to the playoffs and advance a little bit and see what happens. I want to go to Atlanta and play for the SEC title. It hadn't been since 2004, or sorry, 2007. We're approaching 20 years, Harb. That's a long time. Um, but I'm just saying, look where we're at. And that's credit to Josh Heupel. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, for sure. I love the guy, and if And if you or any of the listeners think otherwise,
Oh, I don't. I know you love him,
yeah, that's my,
but
yeah.
we can be hard on people we love.
If you love somebody, you're not a yes man. I'll put
Yeah.
it that way.
Yeah.
Anyway, at two, I've still got I've got Georgia at two. Yeah, I guess you can see where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
I,
I've done the math here.
I have Alabama at one. I still think Georgia's a very good football team, but the Kirby Smart mental block against Alabama is so intriguing to me, I guess is the word I'll use. Because Nick Saban's not walking through that tunnel anymore. And he still can't beat him.
At home.
Yeah. They had what was it, 33 home game win streak?
Talk
Or,
about criticizing a coach. We were sitting at
my
we found
God.
this place on the way back. We stayed in Tuscaloosa, by the way. Um it was a place called Mugshots, little like sports bar. Why did Kirby Smart not kick a field goal to tie that game up? And
They,
then he got the ball back, and they're screaming. These coaches outthink themselves sometimes. Sorry,
but
go ahead.
but I mean, you would agree. Kirby Smart is the undisputed best college football coach in the country right now, and
No
it's
doubt.
and then it's him, and then there's a wide gap, and in my opinion, it's Dan Lanning, and then a gap, and then it's everybody else. Would you agree with that?
I'd put Ryan Day up there with Lanning.
Sure. But either way, it's Kirby gap, next guy or two, another gap,
You don't
everybody
have
else.
Kirk Ferentz up there with him.
The it just doesn't make sense to me. And maybe Georgia's not very good, and we missed our opportunity. I mean, there's so many different ways of looking
I
at.
think we missed our opportunity.
No, we definitely missed our opportunity, but maybe they're not as good as we think they are, is what I'm saying. We had our opportunity, whether they're the 2001 Miami Hurricanes reincarnated or if they're just a 9-3 football team. But also, I have to give Kalen DeBoer credit, non-biasly, because that Alabama team is not the same Alabama team that we saw in Tallahassee.
No,
Not even close. Like defensive effort, execution, play calling. Ty Simpson looks really good. Kirby Smart gave him all the credit in the world, which after he dusted your ass, I don't know if you have any choice but to do so. They look good. Do I think they're clear cut number one? No, not whatsoever. I think you could take about there's about seven teams in the SEC that you could jumble up at the top, and they have an argument to be the best team in the conference. Would you agree with that?
yes,
There's about seven. Last week we thought it was five. That's not the case. Um, do I feel confident in these rankings? No, I don't. Not whatsoever. But as of week, what are we in? What was it? Week six? Week five? Like, I still don't know if we've established the contenders and the pretenders.
there's a lot to be decided.
I have more pretenders than I do contenders. Like, I think Ole Miss is a pretender. They may benefit from a slightly easier schedule than some of their conference fellows. LSU's a big time pretender, in my opinion. Depending on how Mateer comes back, I think Oklahoma's legit. I think they're a legit contender. But if he comes back and looks different, they could tank really fast.
Is Tennessee, let me ask you a question. You're the host tonight, but I want to ask you a question. Is
Okay.
Tennessee a pretender or a contender? You can pass if you want.
No,
Push it to next week.
I'm not gonna pass. Well, next week won't tell me anything.
That's what I'm saying.
I hate to be this way, but gun to my head, if I had to answer truthfully, I think we're a pretender. I do. And when I say contender, I mean like legitimate chance for the national championship. Not just playoff contender. I think we're squarely a playoff contender. Like we have as good a chance as anybody to make the playoff. But as far as competing for a national championship, no, I don't think so. Um, but shit, I mean, the game in Tuscaloosa that could change everything because Bama all of a sudden looks like a contender, but also I remember what they looked like in the back half of the season last year, and I'm doing my best to not be a captive of the moment like I was last year when Bama beat Georgia, when Ryan Williams made that incredible play and they won that game. There's just so much parity in the SEC right now that it's hard to put legitimate borders on the hierarchy. Like shit, Arch Manning can figure it out, and Texas could be the best team in the conference this whole time, and nobody know it. That could happen. Do I think it's likely? No, not necessarily. A&M could emerge. Missouri's a pretender. I don't even want to. I don't even want to be disgraceful towards Mississippi State and call them a pretender. I just think they're good. They're in the same boat as Vandy, in my opinion. They shouldn't be in the conversation of contender. They're just good football teams. Georgia, hell, I don't. Hell, Georgia's a pretender, maybe.
I think a lot of teams are on that line of contender pretender. We don't know.
You don't know,
The
and
sample size isn't very large, but there's also a large enough sample size out there that you can kind of see what teams are and what they aren't right now. Could they
like,
change? Absolutely.
like a lot of people want to label Ole Miss as a legit contender. I don't see it. I don't. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. Hell, I've been wrong before. I'm not scared to be wrong again. I don't see it. Their three conference games are by combined, I believe, 18 points
It's
to
there's a
two
I mean,
to two bad football teams and I'll call them decent to good LSU team. Like their resume is not that impressive to me, and maybe Bama getting their ass whipped at the first game of the year kind of shocked them into like got them back into the hey, we forgot we were Alabama. Could be.
it's hard. I mean, you saw what they walked into a
Maybe we
bus.
learned everything from the Georgia game, and then we had like, for example, all of these close road games that we should have won in years past was a recipe for the Mississippi State game. We found a way to win. That's what winning football teams do. You find a way to win. Maybe that's our recipe to keep going. Like there's
Maybe.
so many like it's so funny because it feels like we are balls deep into the college football season, but we've only seen about 40% of it. Gun to my head, if Mateer comes back fully healthy, Oklahoma is the team to beat. That's just the way I feel. Hell, I don't know. I don't think Aguilar is very far behind Mateer. I really don't. And if Ty Simpson keeps this up, I mean, you just don't walk into Athens and have 80% completion percentage and throw for 280 or 300 or what he did. You just don't do that. And he did that. So you have to give your flowers to that young man. Do you think Tennessee is a contender or a pretender?
It's a tough question, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a tough
It's
one.
tough. I mean, because we've seen them should have beat Georgia. We've seen them play poorly at different. I don't want to say poorly because that means they played bad the whole game. This isn't South Carolina 2022. They played poorly.
But also look,
They didn't
but
play
also
their
look
best
at Ohio
game.
State.
They didn't play their best game and beat Mississippi State on the road.
Look at Ohio State last year.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, I'm in no way, shape, or form am I comparing this year's Tennessee team to last year's Ohio State team. But they went 10-2 in the regular season and then dog walked everybody after that.
I think Tennessee is a contender, but they could quickly fall to pretender. Now, I don't think it happens in the month of October because I think, they've got an Arkansas team limping to town in a couple weeks after we're on a bye. We go to Bama. That could easily be a loss. Matchup predictor says it is. Then you go to Kentucky, who's bad. And then you host, okay, so you go 3-1 in October, and that puts you at 7-2. And your two losses are to who? Georgia and Alabama. Arguably two of the top teams in the conference, two of the top 10 or 15 teams in the nation. And then you go to November and you've got OU, New Mexico State, um, Florida, and Vandy. All winnable games, especially New Mexico State. But they should go down. It's at the swamp. I get it. But they should go down and beat Florida. They should beat Vanderbilt at home, even though Vandy's got Diego, or my uncle, I won't call him what he called him, that little squirt. Diego playing quarterback. I get it. They're better. They're good. But we still shouldn't lose to Vanderbilt in Neyland Stadium in November. You just shouldn't. You legitimately should go 4-0 in December with this team right here and go 10-2. And if you do that and your losses to Alabama and Georgia, you're in the playoffs. You might be in the SEC title game. I don't know. Just depends on what goes on. But they could also lose to Oklahoma. They could also lose in the swamp. They could also lose to Vanderbilt. They shouldn't, but they could. And if they lose to Bama on top of that, that's 5 losses. Not good. Tough road to go. So there's still a lot up in the air for any, you could say that about any of these teams. Are they contender, pretender? It's almost a little too early, honestly, to ask that question. But if you had to ask me right now, gun to my head, I would say Tennessee's a contender, but they could quickly, in a blink of an eye, slide off to pretender. They're one of those teams that's on that edge of you see some good things out of them. You've seen some bad things, and will the bad things overtake the good things, or will the good things overtake the bad things that they do? That's yet to be seen. For a lot of these, uh, all 16 teams. Well, let's go to 12 of these teams, maybe 10 in the conference. I think some of them are so far gone that they're out of it. But anyways, yes. Right now, if you had to ask me, pretender or contender, sorry.
Well, you have a hater and loser.
I do. Do you have one?
I do if you don't steal mine.
I've actually got a bunch, and I was thinking about it driving home today, who to pick. Who would be my hater and the loser?
So do you want
Who
me to
would,
go first?
yeah, go ahead. I'm still thinking about it, to be honest.
My hater and loser of the week is the United States of America.
The country?
Yeah,
Oh gosh.
as represented by their golfers.
Oh, not the entirety of the United States of America.
No, 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 no.
Just
No, the
15,
entirety
16
of the
guys.
United States of America, but with an emphasis on their golfers. Uh, the Ryder Cup was this weekend. The Ryder Cup is a huge deal to me.
And me.
We dressed it up today and almost had the biggest comeback in the history of sports. And I mean that wholeheartedly. If the U.S. would have won today, it would have been the biggest upset slash comeback in the history of sports. It would have been up there with the Miracle on Ice, the Red Sox 3-0 against the Yankees, Cavs coming back 3-1 on the Warriors. It would have been in all of those. But you play so bad on Friday and Saturday to dig yourself into that hole. And today was some really fun golf watching. You watched it, didn't you?
Um, what we listened to it driving back, but I saw the probably last half of it on TV. Yes,
It was fun.
it was awesome.
But Friday and Saturday, we absolutely shit the bed. Scotty Scheffler plays 5 matches and he goes 1-4. And we've seen this before from American squads. The team aspect we get slaughtered in. And normally we do better in low ball because you're playing your own ball. But it's just so frustrating. And I think the crowd at Bethpage was weak and cheap. There's two reasons as why the crowd was weak. One, we played so damn bad they didn't have anything to cheer for. And two, the tickets were $1,000 a day. You're outpricing the average fan that actually wants to be there and cares. And instead you end up with finance bros or old men that are millionaires that get most of their modern golf knowledge from their sons that only watch Good on YouTube.
It's probably true.
It's probably true, and they
They
know it's
probably watch Good, to be honest.
yeah, they probably do. And if you do, that's cool. I don't. Um, I didn't mean for this to turn into a hate section of good. But if it does, that's fine.
I like Good, but continue.
I don't. Anyway, um, yeah, and when the crowd got rowdy, it was all directed at Rory and Shane Lowry. And you know me, I'm one of the biggest Rory haters in the world. But every time you chirped him, he hit an amazing shot. Like, learn from your mistakes and shut your mouth. He wants you to do that. It would be more demoralizing if he hit a good shot and nobody said a word. Like, but him and Tommy Fleetwood in foursomes is the greatest pairing in the history of sports. I mean, them playing alternate shot. They shot 29 on the front yesterday.
Yeah,
Do you
killing it.
have you ever played alternate shot?
I have.
Do
It's
you
tough. It's the toughest one you can play, in my opinion.
do you know how hard alternate shot is?
Yes.
Shooting
Especially if you're with somebody who does not complement your game or who is not good.
right, but either way, it's so hard to get into a rhythm. But I mean, and I've got to give credit to Europe, and I hate to do this, but it wasn't like we played so profusely bad the first 2 days. Europe was on fire.
They couldn't miss a putt.
No. So the top nine for the week in strokes gained putting, Cam Young was seven. The other nine were Europeans. And Justin Rose had everybody lapped, which I'm sure you can believe that from watching it. He made everything. And it's embarrassing. I'll put it that way. It is embarrassing. You wait once every 2 years to root for your country, and you wait once every 4 years for it to happen on home turf. And there's a little bit of a stigma in the Ryder Cup where the home team kind of wins every year. Like that's just kind of how it is. And for you to be down 7 whole points going into Sunday, it's just unacceptable. I'd love to point the finger at one guy. There's not one to point it at. You can point it at Colin Morikawa, but he also finished off John Rahm on 15 today. You can point it at Russell Henley, which that was brutal today. But should that match have mattered as much as it did? No. But you've got two 8 footers to keep the Ryder Cup going, and you leave both of them short.
Yeah. Yeah. Not good.
But the 3 holes before that on 14, 15, and 16, he made a 15 footer, a 7 footer, and a 16 footer, all to either win or tie the hole. And he had a hell of a bunker shot from like 115 on 18, so it's not like he wasn't up for the moment. I don't know what happened. And I remember I was at work when he left that one on 18 short, and I was upset. And one of my buddies who was sitting at the bar, he's like, "Oh, let me guess, you'd have made it." And I was like, "No." But I guarantee there's a better chance of me running at 6 feet by than there is me leaving it short. I can promise you that.
I was telling Bell the other day, we were traveling on Friday, so I didn't get to watch. I saw the morning session, but the afternoon session, and Bell was texting back and forth with me, and I said, "Man, these guys suck," says the guy who shoots 80 to 85 regularly. I mean, they just honestly, I don't think the USA played poorly, but Europe just played that well, and Europe could not miss anything on the green on Friday or Saturday. Now it caught up with them today on Sunday. They couldn't make anything, especially on the back nine, and let America back into it. And America was doing what Europe was doing on Friday and Saturday, making clutch putts, making long putts, making tough putts. They took the fight to them. You got to give them credit there because they did fight back. I mean, if Russell Henley hits that putt, what happens on the rest of those last three matches? I mean, I know it ended up 15-13, but you never know if Shane Lowry misses the putt. I knew he wasn't going to miss that, by the
Yeah,
way.
he was
There's
never
no
going
way he was missing. And you could tell he wasn't going to miss it. He walked up and didn't even stand over it. He just walked up and putted it right in the heart. But what if he misses it? We're looking at a totally different ball game here. It was my uncle said, I cannot believe it's 5 o'clock and I'm still watching this thing. I thought it would be over 2 or 3 hours ago. That's what we said when we left Tuscaloosa this morning. Will this thing be over before we get home? I think we all thought yes. Well, I was home for 2.5 hours before it ended.
to. Also, the injury rule. I'm not just saying this because we lost, like how a lot of people are pinning it. For those of you that don't know or don't care about golf, before the before the Ryder Cup starts, and this has been a long-standing tradition for a million years, if there is a player that gets injured and cannot play in singles competition. Everybody plays on Sunday. If one of those players gets hurt, obviously they can't have a singles match. So each team before the before the play starts on Friday puts a name into an envelope, and if a player on the opposing team gets hurt, that player does not play. Well, Victor Hovland slept on his neck wrong, literally, which I think is horseshit, but whatever.
Yeah, he looked like he was in a lot of pain during the celebration.
Yeah, he even mocked it. Did you see that?
Yes.
Not like Victor Hovland.
Oh, I love Victor.
That was bullshit. Victor Hovland was deemed not able to play, and the name in our envelope was Harris English. I was not mad at that. I don't think anybody was.
I wasn't.
But each teams were rewarded half a point, like the match tied. You would think if somebody can't play, they forfeit the match.
It's what happens in most sports.
And listen, the U.S. won it at I believe in Kiowa in '91 on that. We won 14.5 to 13.5. And we had that same thing happen. It went in our favor back then. I don't think it would have mattered today. If you want to bitch about us not winning, you shouldn't be down 7 going into Sunday. But that's just a dumb rule. I don't care if it benefits us or hurts us. I think it's a dumb rule. I think whoever the player that can't play is forfeits the match, and the other player automatically gets a point.
Either that Grub made this point. My uncle did too. Why don't you have alternates that
No,
you name?
you should 1,000% have an alternate.
Yeah. Why don't you have an alternate that you name before the competition? Maybe two. And if somebody is injured during play, you slide that person in.
Like, how good would it have been? Let's say Harris English hurt his neck, and all of a sudden you see Keegan Bradley hitting range
I
balls.
mean, it could have been him. I mean,
I mean, it would have
he
been
should have
the
been.
best storyline of all time.
Hmm.
Take himself, but gets in, gets a point. Scenes.
Yeah.
Scenes. Anyway, we went too long on that. My hater and loser of the week's the USA.
Mine very quickly is baseball related. And this will roll me into another topic very shortly. Mine is St. Louis Cardinals manager Oliver Marmol. On I believe it's, and I didn't see this happen, so I had to look it up here. Yes, it was on Saturday. Cardinals at Cubs, the rivalry to end the season at Wrigley. Cubs first baseman Michael Bush was a single away from the cycle. Eighth inning, he comes up to bat. What does Oliver Marmol do? Puts him on base. Intentional walk. Crowds booing. Really, Oliver? Your team is now 78 and 84. You got swept this weekend. You finished 19 games out first. What are you walking people for? His reasoning was, where is it? The quote: "I'm not here for anybody's amusement," he said. "I'm trying to win a game." The next guy, Nico Horner, grounded out to the pitcher, so I think it worked. Yeah, I get it. You're paid to win baseball games. That's like bunting in a no hitter. It's just it's lazy, it's cheap, it's low class. I hope I don't know what the Cubs did today. I know they won. I didn't get to watch it, but I hope at some point somebody pays the price for that with a ball right to the rib cage. I don't think they do that anymore much, but that's what I would do. That's BS. Pitch to the man and get him out. Don't just walk him and take the coward's way out. You're 6, 7 games below 500. What are you doing? 6, 7. Um, what about baseball playoffs starting, Harb? Your Red Sox are in. My Cubbies are in.
We get the Yankees in New York, 3 games.
We get the fathers in Chicago, the Padres. At Wrigley, Tuesday, Wednesday, maybe Thursday.
I am so happy that the Red Sox are back in the playoffs for the first time in 4 years, and we get the Yankees.
That's wild. The Yankees, one of the biggest rivalry in sports in a wild card round.
And it's the AL East tournament because the winner gets the Blue Jays.
Oh, even better.
Love it. And we don't have to go to Cleveland. I did not want to go to Cleveland. Speaking of, what about the all-time collapse of the Detroit Tigers?
Wow. Falls from the best team in some said in the majors to the sixth seed.
Yeah, like they had the division 5 days ago and lost it.
Ugh.
I'm very excited. VFL Garrett Crochet, top three pitcher in the MLB, top two in the AL, on the bump for game one against the Yankees. I'm fired
So,
up.
so I think if the winner of the Cubs Padres series will move on to play Milwaukee, I believe. But Cubs are 3 o'clock on ABC Tuesday, 3 o'clock ABC on Wednesday, Thursday, same time on ABC if necessary. If for those that haven't paid attention to much baseball, and if you're watching these games, watch for PCA for the Cubs. Pete Crow Armstrong, former Tennessee Smoky. He played for the Tennessee Smokies, not Knoxville Smokies. Outstanding young player. He's an Energizer Bunny. He dives all over the outfield, making spectacular catches. First player in Cubs history, in the whole history of the franchise that dates back to the 1890s or whatever, to have 30 home runs, 30 stolen bases, and 30 doubles in the same season. It's his second year in the league. Cubs and Padres have met one time in the playoffs, Harb. I don't know if you remember this or not. You probably don't. I was 1 year old. 1984 NLCS. Padres won in 5 games, winning game four on a walk-off home run from Steve Garvey.
Steve Harvey, Family
Steve
Feud.
Harvey. Steve Garvey. And I believe, I know, no, never mind. That wasn't the Black Cat game. That was against the Mets years prior to that, where the Black Cat ran in front of the dugout.
Mm-hmm.
And the Cubs, obviously, you don't want to cross the path of a black cat. And they had to cross the path to go out onto the field and to bat. And they lost. Unbelievable. But yeah, I'm excited. Playoff baseball is back. First time the Cubs have been there since 2020. I'm excited on the north side. And it's at Wrigley. I mean, that's what I was like freaking out earlier in the week. I was like, man, they've lost 4 of their last 5. They're going to blow it. They're going to have to go on the road. But then they swept St. Louis and won 1 of 3 against New York Mets, and the Mets got eliminated. That was even better.
Correct me if I'm wrong. The Chicago Cubs have not won a playoff game since Game 7 of the 2016 World Series.
Since Say that again.
The Cubs have not won a playoff game since Game 7 of the World Series in 2016.
That's false. They won the series the next year against Washington Nationals. They played in the NLCS in 17.
Are you positive on that?
I'm 99% sure. If my internet will work. I'm on that Biden internet apparently again since I've been gone to Alabama. Yep.
Uh,
Dodgers beat the Cubs 4-1, 2017 NLCS.
that's
You're
that's the NLDS.
No. The Cubs beat the Nationals in the DS.
Oh, my bad. I clicked the wrong link. Gotcha.
So I don't believe they've won a playoff
It's
game.
2017.
Gosh, surely I can't remember. I think in 18 they were in the wild card game maybe and lost it. Same in maybe 19. I know they didn't win in 20.
In 18, y'all played in the wild card game and lost to the Rockies.
Yes.
In 2020, You got beat 0-2 to the Marlins, and in 2025, you.
What do we do in 2025 in the playoffs? I hope it's good.
Oh, yeah, my bad. Anyway. But yeah, I
Harb, I'm
think that
tired. What else you got?
I think there's some restlessness in Chicago. I don't think you have to win the series, but I think you got to show something to keep this going. I think it would obviously be beneficial for y'all to win the series, but
Yeah, I think they need to win, obviously, keep the good vibes going, but there wasn't a lot of people predicted them to make the playoffs. I thought they should because now it's at 6 teams and they'd made some moves to be better, but they lost their ace early in the season. Justin Steele, they haven't had him in months. Didn't really do much of anything at the trade deadline, but they just kept winning. You know, they were hovering at 20 games above 500 most of the year. Um, Good young ball team, and even if they lose, if the ownership and GM would spend a little of that money they've got, they claim they don't have much, but they own every square inch of the property around the stadium. Um, I don't know. I think they could make a big splash this offseason and be even better. But I'm not settling for being in the wild card. I would love it if they won 2 out of 3. And they can.
they
They're no
definitely can.
San Diego's no better than they are. San Diego's got some guys that have been there, done that though. Cubs haven't.
You've got one. Kyle Tucker's been there,
Well,
done that.
Kyle Tucker, and he's also in and out of the lineup. I think he'll be back. He took some BP the other day, but he's been in and out of the lineup most of the year. He's hurt all the time. But I think they held him out here the last 10 games, precautionary to get him ready for the playoffs because they clinched 2 weeks ago. They've been in the playoffs for weeks.
Cubs Red Sox World Series for YY.
Man,
I'd sign up for it right now.
I could get us. Well, I don't know if I could get us into the game at Chicago, but I got a place to stay that's a mile south of Wrigley.
I would
If it
love to
happened,
go hang out in Chicago for the World Series.
we could just go down to Murphy's, hang out in right field if we could get in. But there's plenty of other places. But go down to Murphy's and have some chocolate milk and watch some baseball on the TV and hang out in Wrigleyville. It's awesome.
I'll sign up right now. Red Sox Cubs World Series for YY. I'm confident.
Cheap flights on Allegiant. I do regret not going up there in 2016. It was tough. I'd just started a new job, didn't have much of any vacation time, so I really couldn't miss work. But yeah, my sister lives really close to Wrigley Field. All you have to do is walk. You don't even have to take an Uber. I mean, you can, but it's a 20-minute walk through the alleyways to Rig. I've done it in the daytime. I don't know if I want to do it at night in Chicago because, it is a hellhole. Trump's words, not mine, but I agree with him.
Anywho, you got any closing thoughts?
No, just proud that the Vols found a way to win. Was glad to break my losing streak. I need to go back and look. I'm trying to remember. Lost at South Carolina in 22, lost at Bama in 23. Uh, lost at lost at Georgia in 22, also with South Carolina. So that's two. Bama in 23 is three. Last year lost at Georgia. I think that was the only road game I went to last year. So I'd lost four in a row coming into this game. So, and I have an honorary nominee for hater and loser is all the haters and losers out there that were firing off uh, uh, X posts and Facebooks and texts to people. And nobody texted me this, but a couple did. They're like, "Here we go again, Niece. Why did you go? Keep Niece away. It's all Niece's fault. Whose fault is it now that we won? If you're going to blame it on me, I deserve all the credit."
Little old me.
Poor old niece. Can't win a game on the road. Honestly, I did screw up. Big Montana called me out on it. I tweeted that was my last two road wins were both overtime games. Pittsburgh in 2022 and then this one yesterday. But I left out that I went to LSU in 2022. Totally forgot about that one, which was a huge win. Brain fog. It was a
It's a
long
very,
day yesterday.
very memorable weekend, but also I don't remember a whole lot of it if we're referencing LSU.
But shout out Mississippi State fans. If any Mississippi State fans have stumbled onto this podcast, uh, great time in Starkville. Didn't get to see a whole lot of the campus, but we walked around a little bit of it. But looked like a pretty cool place to hang out prior to the game. It's out in the middle of nowhere, but it's your typical college campus in the South, and I'm gonna be honest. I did not hear a foul word out of any state fan toward me. I'm sure there was something that went on, but fans were great. Lady at the gate going in said, "Have you all enjoyed your trip here?" And we said yes, and she said, "Great. We came to Knoxville last year in Neyland Stadium. You all were awesome." And so that's what it's about right there.
It
Like
is
I hate it when we go to Georgia and those guys just they cannot shut up. I've told this story on here. The guy that would not shut up last year after the game just kept talking. Just shut up. And Georgia's the worst, but Mississippi State's polar opposite. Maybe it's because they don't win a lot. I don't know, but it was great. It was. I don't know that I'll ever go back. Maybe one day, but glad I went. Knocked another one off the list. Good luck to Mississippi State the rest of the season. We'll see you in a couple years
or done.
in Knoxville, not in Stark. I'm not going to Starkville, probably. I got to go to Texas and Ole Miss. It's the only two I got left. But that's it for me.
You mean Texas and Oxford?
Austin and Oxford.
Austin and Oxford.
What do you got? Any closing thoughts?
No. Uh, just as the players and the coaches, get your rest up this bye week. Go to that wedding if you need to go to a wedding. Um, Play some golf. I'm playing in the 3 day this weekend at Dandridge.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm in Worm. In Big Worm.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Worm texted me probably a week ago and asked me if I wanted to play, and I said, I'm your Huckleberry. I'll do it. So,
Um,
and him are paired with Bootsy and Joey.
is YY8 on a bye next week?
I don't know, are we?
Or I don't know. Do we need a week off?
Maybe. Maybe when we go through Thursday walkthroughs, we'll see how we feel.
We'll see. We've got a lot of bumps and bruises ourselves, don't we?
We'll see how banged up we are come Thursday.
The Hornets. Oh, one last thing. The Hornets had a big road win at Heritage Region play Friday night. 28-26, I think, was the final. They're at home this Friday. It's homecoming at Eblin Field, Harb.
Hmm.
So homecoming at Carter, facing the, I believe, 0-6 Fulton Falcons. My, how times have changed. Carter's now 4-2, looking to go 5-2. Got a legit chance to be that number three seed in the region, which would be nice for a change.
That'd be
We'll see.
fun. That'd be
We'll see.
cool.
But I'll be back in the box, reading off the homecoming candidates, announcing the winner, and then announcing the game. Hopefully, another dub for the Hornets. Take us out, Harb.
Uh, I don't know if Fulton's as good as they. How good is Fulton? Fulton any good? No.
No, not good.
So Carter should get a homecoming win,
Yes.
rivalry event win. That'll be 2-0 or two in a row. I mean,
Their only losses would be to
Grace and Anderson County.
Grace and Anderson County. They still got Alcoa, Gibbs, and uh, Austin East left. So two more winnable games after. They can beat Gibbs. It'll be tough, but they can beat Gibbs. They're not beating Alcoa.
Right.
Sorry, if you're a Hornet or one of the coaches listening, I'm sorry. You're not beating Alcoa.
Well, anyway, here at Section YY, we love our Vols. We love our Hornets. I love my professional sports teams, and so does Nice. Love his respective teams. With all of our teams, JWTGG. That's all we do. That's all we know.
That's all it's all about.
What the Balls did this weekend, we're going to rest up on the bye week. Do the same with yours. Whatever that entails. If it entails watching more college football, do that. If it entails fishing, golfing, baby showers, weddings, you do what you need to do. Just make sure that you do a better job today than you did yesterday. And with that being said, thank y'all for listening. While you're here, if you're watching on the YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. It's somewhere down here. I don't know if I'm on the left, right, down, or bottom.
You're on the you are
We're
on
doing
the
cheat.
right. You're on
We're
the
doing
right of the
cheat.
screen.
We're doing cheat codes, left, down, upright. We're somewhere. Either way, like and subscribe down there. You can listen to us anywhere you get your podcasts, Spotify, Apple Music, hell, the Google Play Store for any of y'all that use that. And with all that being said, my name's Harb. I'm here with Nathan Neese. Thank you for listening to the Section YY8 podcast.